We're going to start with dividing decimals. First of all, in the instructions, it says find each quotient, round to the nearest hundredth. If we don't remember what decimals are, if you guys remember 100, it's a number with two zeros. So hundredth is a decimal with two numbers. So let me take the instructions out already. What we do need, though, is the second number. I'm looking at the number after the division sign. The second number cannot have decimals. If we have decimals, get rid of the decimal. That way we're going to get rid of the decimal. I'm going to move it two places to the right. So because I moved this number two places to the right, make sure the number at the left, you also move it two places to the right. If I need to add an extra zero to be able to move it, move this. So this looks like 590 divided by 33. Once again, the number on the right, the one after the division sign, cannot have decimals. The one before it, it's okay, but not the one after. All right, so now I'm going to go 33 divided into 590. Since we have decimals, I know my decimals are here at the end. Since we're dealing with decimals, I know my answer will have a decimal point. So I'm already going to bring it up. And then just divide the way you know. Since we have to round it to the nearest hundredth, which is two decimal places, I'm going to go for 3. I have to go for one more than what I need. So I think of 33 into 59 goes in ones, because 33 times 1 is 33. When I subtract this, there's a 6, there's a 2, so I get 26. I bring down the next number, in this case 0. 33 into 260. I'm thinking of how many times does 33 go into 260. Let me try 7. I know 7 times 3 is 21, so carry 2. 7 times 3 is 21, plus the 2 that I was carrying is 23. When I subtract this, it gives me 29. My remainder here should always be less than 33. In this case, so I'm good. Let me bring another number. And I'm thinking, how many times does 33 go into 290? In this case, let me try, let's say 8. 8 times 3 is 24, carry 2. 8 times 3 is 24, plus the 2 that I was carrying, 26. When I subtract this, I get 26. So I'm going to bring down another 0. 33 into 260, it seems like we did that already. Here, I'm going to get 7. Because remember, we went 33 times 7 gave me 231. And I know when I subtract this, it's going to give me 29. If I bring another 0, I know it's going to go 8 times, because 33 times 8 is 264. And if you notice, I'm going to continue going on and on and on. So I'm going to stop. Remember I said I needed 3 decimal places. So that's what I got. Since my third number is more than 5, it's more than 4. So what I'm thinking is 5 or more, which is the case. Since that number is more than 4, the second number has to go 1 up. So my answer will be 17.88. Remember, because this number is more than 4, pushes the second one 1 up. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Let's try another number for practice. Remember, my number at the right should not have decimals, so I'm going to call that 55. If you notice, I moved my decimal 1 place to the right. Don't forget to do the same move on the second number. Move everything to the right 1 space. So I have 75 divided by 55. So let me write that here. 55 into 75. I know I'm dealing with decimals, so I'm going to have my decimal place at the end. 55 into 75 goes in 1 time, because 55 times 1 is 55. When I subtract this, I get 20. I bring an extra zero. I have infinite many zeros, so I can always bring one more. 55 into 200. Let me try it 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times the other 5 is 15, plus the one that I was carrying, 16. 200 minus 165. We know how to subtract. I'm going to get 35. Remember, I have infinite many zeros. 55 into 350. Let me try it 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30, so carry the 3. 6 times the other 5 is 30, plus the 3 that I was carrying is 33. When I subtract this, I get 20. Let me bring an extra 0. 55 into 200, I'm going to say it goes in 3 times. This 55 times 3 is 165. We just did that earlier, right there. And I know this subtracts gives me 35. And once again, I'm going to keep on going over and over and over. I said to stop when we had 3 decimal places, which is the case. I look at the third decimal place here. It is too small. And remember, what I call too small is 4 or less. So it is too small. So I'm just going to call my answer will be 1. I'm going to write it over here, 1.36. If my third number was 5 or more, I would have called this 1.37. But because this 3 is too small, I'm just going to leave it as 1.36. All right, let's take a look. One more example. Remember, the number after the division sign cannot have decimal places. So I'm going to call that 11. If you notice, I move my decimal 1 place to the right. So make sure you do the same on the first number. So that's going to be 12.2 divided by 11. Once again, the first number, that one, it's okay if it has a decimal, but the second one cannot have decimals. All right, so let me go 11 into 12.2. I see my decimal point. Let me bring this up. So I'm thinking 11 into 12 is going to go in 1 time, because 11 times 1 is 11. When I subtract this is 1. All right, 12 minus 1 is 1. Bring down the next number. 11 into 12 goes in 1 time, because 11 times 1 is 11. When I subtract this is 1. Have no more numbers to bring down, but I have infinite many zeros, so I can always bring a 0. 11 into 10 goes in 0 times. Do write down the 0, right? 11 is bigger than 10, so it does not go into it. Now let me bring another 0. 11 goes into 100. Let me try it 9 times, because 9 times 11 is 99. When I subtract this, I get 1. And I know I can continue as far as I want to, but remember I said stop it when you have 3 decimal places. I look at my third decimal place, 9. 9 is more than 4. So when I say more than 4, I'm thinking 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So 9 is more than 4. So instead of this being 1.10, I'm going to call this 1.11. Look at that as if you had money. It's $1.10. If the third number is a little bit, it's more than 4, add an extra penny. Right? So now you have 111. Once again, look at that number as if it was money. If the third number is more than 4, add an extra penny. So that's why I called it 111. Let me do one more example. The number after the division sign cannot have decimals. So I'm going to move this 1 place to the right. So do the same on the first number. So I have 39 divided by 42. So I'm going to write 42 into 39. After my 9, I have a decimal point. So I'm thinking, how many times is 42 going to 39? 42 is bigger, so it goes in 0 times. I do write down my 0. Since it's a zero, I don't do any operations. Let me bring an extra zero, because remember, I have infinite many zeros. So I'm thinking, how many times does 42 go into 390? Let me try it 9 times. 9 times 2 is 18, so carry 1. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 is 37. When I subtract this, 390 minus 378, I get 12. My remainder is 12. I can always bring an extra zero. So I'm thinking, how many times does 42 go into 120? Let me try it 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. When I subtract this, like we know how to subtract, 120 minus 84 gives me 36. I can bring an extra zero. So I'm thinking, how many times does 42 go into 360? We just take a shot. Let me try it 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry 1. 8 times 4 is 32, plus the 1 we were carrying is 33. When I subtract this, it's 24. I can bring an extra zero and keep on going, but I already have 3 decimal places. So I'm going to stop there. I look at the third decimal place. My third decimal place is big enough, right? It's more than 4. So because it's more than 4, I'm going to add an extra penny. Remember, this looks like 92 cents. So since I'm going to add an extra penny, I'm going to say 93 cents. I can put the 0 before it. So this is going to look like 0.93. One of my classes, I have students that are Spanish speakers, and I usually do teach in Spanish. So for them, let me teach questions 5 and 6 in Spanish. For those of you that do not speak Spanish, just ignore me for the next 2 questions. So I'm going to do those in Spanish just because I have a big number of Spanish speakers. Okay, para los de habla español, dejen hago los números 5 y 6 en español para ayudarlos a ustedes. Lo que tenemos que hacer, después del símbolo de división, no podemos tener números decimales. Entonces miro 7.8, dejen muevo el decimal un espacio para la derecha, pero la misma cantidad de espacios que lo muevo aquí en este número, lo tengo que mover en el otro número también. Si necesito agregarle ceros para hacer el movimiento, lo vamos a hacer. Entonces también lo voy a mover uno a la derecha. Entonces esto se mira como 80 dividido por 78. El número que viene antes del símbolo está bien si tiene número decimal, pero el segundo número no puede tener número decimal. Ahora que lo tengo así, voy a escribir 78 dividido por 80. Al final de este número hay un punto decimal. Voy a subir el punto decimal, ya que mi respuesta va a tener decimales. Y en este caso, nos dicen las instrucciones que lo hagamos, que redondeemos en el inglés se dice 100. Entonces, si sabemos nuestros números en inglés, 100 es 100, que es un número con 2 ceros. Entonces necesitamos 2 números decimales, pero siempre voy a agarrar un número más. Entonces voy a ir a 3 números decimales. Entonces cuando tenga 3 números decimales es cuando me detengo. Entonces me pongo a pensar, 78 en el 80 cabe una vez, porque 78 por 1 es 78. Cuando resto esto, me da 2. Tengo muchos ceros aquí, entonces obviamente los puedo escribir, pero cada que tengo que resto y no tengo más números, siempre puedo bajar un cero más. Entonces me pongo a pensar, ¿cuántas veces cabe el 78 en el 20? Como 78 es más grande, no cabe ninguna vez. Y voy a escribir el 0. Lo tenemos que escribir. 78 no cabe, entonces pongo un 0. Entonces dejen bajo otro 0. Y ahora pienso, ¿cuántas veces cabe el 78 en el 200? Intentémosle 2 veces. 2 por 78. Primero voy a empezar. 2 por 8 es 16. Escribo el 6, me llevo el 1. 2 por 7 es 14, más el 1 que tenía es 15. 200 menos 156. Sabemos restar, sabemos que esto es 44. El restante siempre tiene que ser menos que este número. 44 es menos que 78, entonces está bien. Siempre podemos poner un 0 al final. Entonces después del 44, dejen pongo un 0. Entonces ahora me pongo a pensar, ¿cuántas veces cabe el 78 en el 440? Intentemos 5, a ver si estamos bien. 5 por 8 es 40, ponemos 0, nos llevamos 4. 5 por 7 es 35, más los 4 que llevábamos es 39. Sé que saben restar, 440 menos 390 es 50. Sé que podemos agregar un 0 y seguimos, pero dije que íbamos a detenernos cuando teníamos 3 números decimales. Entonces miro el tercer número decimal. Si el tercer número decimal es 5 o más, como es nuestro caso, le vamos a aumentar un número más aquí. Miremos este número 1.02 como que si fuera dinero, $1.02. Si el tercer número es grande, agreguémosle un centavo más. Entonces voy a llamar 1.03. Otra vez dejen digo eso. Si el tercer número es grande, y al decir grande estoy pensando 5 o más, agreguémosle un centavo más a esta cantidad aquí. Si el tercer número es menos de 5, entonces no agreguemos nada. Ok, ahora miremos la número 6. Recuerden que el segundo número no puede tener números decimales, entonces voy a mover el decimal una vez a la derecha y voy a hacer lo mismo en el primer número. Entonces tengo 19 dividido por 79. Al escribirlo voy a hacer 79 entre 19. Sé que al final del 19 hay un punto decimal y lo voy a subir porque mi respuesta tiene decimales. Entonces pienso 79 entre, 79 entre 19 es 0 veces porque 79 es más grande. Ahora ya le puedo agregar un 0 al final. Entonces voy a ponerme a pensar, déjenlo bajo tantito. Ok, 79 en 190. Vamos a pensar dos veces. A veces aquí tenemos que atinarle. 2 por 9 es 18. Intentamos 1. 2 por 7 es 14, más el 1 que llevaba es 15. Al restar, 190 menos 158 es 32. Le agrego un 0 más. Entonces me pongo a pensar cuántas veces cabe el 79 en 320. Intentémosle 4 veces. En este caso intenten un número. Si sirve, pues qué bueno. Y si no, pues intenten otro número. Vamos a intentar 4. 4 por 9 es 36. Llevamos 3. 4 por 7 es 28. Más el 3 que llevábamos es 31. Al restar, 320 menos 316 es 4. Puedo agregarle un 0. 79 en el 40 cabe 0 veces porque el 79 es más grande. Y como decía hace rato, podemos agregar un 0 y le seguimos, pero me voy a detener porque ya tengo 3 números decimales. El tercer número decimal es muy chico. Entonces, recuerden, grande es 5 o más. Entonces, chicos es 4 o menos. Como el tercer número es chico, entonces no le voy a agregar nada a esta cantidad de aquí de la izquierda. Y lo voy a dejar como 0.24. Si el tercer número decimal fuera grande, entonces lo hubiera llamado 0.25. Recuerden que si es grande, agregamos un centavo más. Ahora voy a regresar a inglés. All right, so let me go back to English again. Looking at question number 7, don't forget that the number after the division sign has to have no decimal numbers. So I'm going to move this one place to the right. Don't forget to do it on the other number as well. Add an extra 0 if you need to. So now that looks like 80 divided by 2. So I'm just going to go 2 into 80. There's a decimal place at the end. 2 goes into 8 4 times. because 4 times 2 is 8. When I subtract this, I know you guys know how to subtract. 8 minus 8 is 0. If I bring the extra 0, I go, how many times does 2 go into 0? Which is none. Because 0 times 2 is 0. I have my remainder 0, right? So I'm going to stop. Because I'm not going to go crazy and I'm going to put a bunch of zeros here. My number is 40. Technically, since we need to have 2 decimal places, you guys could go 40.00. So you guys could go 40.00. That's an answer. But if you guys just write 40, because we're going to ignore the zeros after the decimal point, I'll be okay with it as well. So 40.00 or 40. Looking at question number 8, remember, move the decimal point one place to the right on each. That way, the second number does not have decimals. So I'm going to have that as 62 divided by 6. So 6 into 62. I know 6, it goes into 6 one time, because 1 times 6 is 6. My remainder is nothing, right? When I subtract this, let me bring the next number. We can put a 0 there if you guys wish. Then I think, how many times is 6 going to 2? Since 6 is bigger, 0 times. Now I can put another 0 here. 6 goes into 20 3 times, because 6 times 3 is 18. When I subtract this, I get 2. Remember, I can add an extra 0. Then I go 6 into 20 goes in 3 times. As you guys can imagine, this is going to continue with 3, 3, 3, and on so forth. So on and so forth. I'm going to stop at the third decimal place, which is a 3, because that is too small, right? 3 is too small. Then I'm going to leave this as 10.33.